friends, welcome back to Belle's Library. I'm Heather, and today we are going to talk Buzzwordathon. I'm going to talk about how I did in 2021, as well as what I want to read for the 2022 challenge. And so let's go ahead and get that going. But before we do, please get down below, click subscribe. I'd love to have you as part of my growing family. I'd love to talk bookish with you. And also my Goodreads and Instagram are linked for you so we can talk bookish on all platforms. So let's go ahead and jump into my wrap up for the 2021 Buzzwordathon. If you have not heard about the Buzzwordathon, it is put on by Kayla at Books and Lala. And basically she used to do kind of readathons, like weekly long readathons with a buzzword where you had to like read and find books that kind of went along with this certain theme or buzzword in the title. And then she kind of was like, I don't really like to do readathons, and decided to make it into a yearly challenge. So each month of the year you have the challenge of either reading a week's worth of books that kind of fall into that, or maybe one book a month, or however you want to do it. So I chose to try and read one book each month that fit the theme. So I will pop the graphic up for you for the 2021 challenge. So in January, we had Dream as the kind of theme to be in the title. And I read In the Dream House by Carmen Macchiato. And this was kind of a, what's it called, memoir that we're following this woman who was in an abusive relationship, and we're following her through that. And it was very insightful, and it was sad, but also inspiring, and really just delved into some things that you don't really think about. She is in a relationship with another woman, so she wanted to kind of bring to light the fact that that is still a thing, even in a relationship between two women. Then in February, we had a color, so we had to have a color in the title. So for this one, I read Black Sun by Rebecca Rowanhorse. A lot of people have been really loving this book, and I kind of middle road. I really enjoyed certain perspectives in this book. There's like 4 different perspectives, and other ones I just really was not intrigued by, and I would slough through those chapters. The concept of the book, very interesting, but just, I don't know, I didn't fully connect to the story, so almost pretty good. March, we had Time, and so this one, she kind of gave the example of like having like it say like noon in the title, or afternoon, or at midnight or something. But I used We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson, and saying that always is kind of like a time. So yeah. So that one I enjoyed as well. It just wasn't like amazing, middle of the road kind of book. In April, we were supposed to read something with some kind of space word in the title, and I did The Weight of the Stars by Kate Ingram. So stars would be a spacey word. And this one was really good, and it's following this girl, and her mom was like an astronaut, and she tries to go on her roof to catch like radio signals from her mom, and there's a new girl in town, and she kind of gets wrapped up in also helping her, and there's a cute fun friend group and stuff going on in this one. So for May, we had House or Home. So I read House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielski, and oh man, is this book a topic of conversation. So with this one, I really just did not enjoy this book. I wanted to, and I wanted to give it more credit because it's very unique and different in the way that it lays everything out, but just overall, I just didn't, and I felt like I was trudging through it, and I felt like I was reading like a textbook or something. It just wasn't for me. Let's just say that. Then we move into June, which was to have somebody's name or title in the title. So for this one, I went with Fable, which is the main character's name, and that's by Adrienne Young. And this is kind of a pirate adventurer type story about Fable. She gets like stranded by her father on this island, and she has to learn to survive at a young age. And she is basically trying to enlist some help to get back to the main island to confront her father and figure out if she can take over the business, I believe. Yeah. So, I mean, this one was fine. In July, I failed. The Word was last. I think I had a couple options, but did not read them. I wanted to read One Last Stop, but I didn't get to it, but I did read it later. I think I read it in like August or September. Okay, so then we move into August, which was Time of Day. So this one, I have Welcome to Night Vale by Joseph Fink. And this one was really odd and weird, and it's based off of like this podcast, and I don't even know how to explain this book, but definitely kind of a different vibe going on in this book, and kind of sci-fi-ish. Then moving into September was Dark, and I read Dark Places by Gillian Flynn, and it's kind of a mystery type book with some satanic cult stuff going on, and like a group of people that look into old mysteries and stuff. And then in October we had Elements, so she meant like fire, water, something like that. This one I did These Witches Don't Burn by Isabel Sterling. So burn kind of works in there, but also this book is about a coven of elemental witches. So I thought it kind of worked for the content of the book as well. And so that's where that one fit in there. November, I did not get anything in for this one. I had Lost, and I honestly was just kind of in a little bit of a slump. I still read a chunk of books, but I wasn't reading through stuff, and I didn't have it on my Bookland TBR, and so it just did not happen. And then December, which is the month we are in, I've actually just finished last night the book for December, and so we had Day, Week, or Season. And I read Nick and Noelle's Christmas Playlist by Cody Hall, Christmas being a season, because we always say the season of Christmas, or the holiday season or something, you know? So it works. And that one's actually, it was a really cute little romance Christmas set about this guy, Nick, who comes home after being overseas, and he goes to see his girlfriend, and he's all excited to be home, to be with her, and she's not so excited and has moved on. And so his best friend Noelle, that he has known since they were kids and has always been best friends with, they kind of end up having a little bit of a second chance romance happening. Although they never had a romance in the first place, but you know what I mean. Or friends to lovers, I guess, would be a better term. So it was really cute. It was maybe a little bit long. Some like towards the end, I was like, okay, let's get this moving. But it was cute. So now we're gonna go ahead and move into the 2022 BUZZWORDATHon, and what I am planning to read for right now. This could definitely change throughout the year. I'm pretty sure it probably will end up changing, because I've already was trying to plan some of these books for later in the year to read next month, and I was like, oh wait. So I imagine I will accidentally do that at some point. But for January, we have the 5 W's. So the title had to have who, what, when, where, or why in the title. And for this one, I'm reading When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain by Naivo. And I'm not sure I can explain these very well. It's like a second book, but they're very fantastical, very lyrically written. There's definitely some underlying themes that you have to kind of pick out. But each of them are a little different. Yeah. Read the synopsis on Goodreads, because I don't think I'm going to explain this one very well, especially since I haven't read it. February was pronouns. For this one, I have Only When It's Us. So us is a pronoun, so that works. And this one's by Chloe Lees, and it is a new adult romance, and it's a sports romance. I think the girl is a soccer star at her college, and she has class with this brooding lumberjack guy, and it's going to be their romance. Then in March is locations. So I have The Last House on Needless Street. That last house on Needless Street is a location, so that should work. A lot of people have been talking about this one. It's by Catriona Ward, and so I'm curious about that one for sure. And then in April, we have Big and Little. So had to have those words in the title, or small, some kind of size thing. And so I have The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I've been really enjoying some of her shorter works, and I wanted to read a full-size novel by her, and this is about, I just was reading the synopsis of this, and it was about this group of astronauts traveling, and then they end up getting put on this mission that's more dangerous than they originally planned, and their kind of adventure to, I don't know if they need to go like mine something from a planet or something, but it sounded really good. I was reading it and I was like, yeah, definitely sign me up for that. I will say, when I was making this list, at first I wasn't thinking about like starting more series because I'm trying not to start too many more series. So I went back and I was like, oh my gosh, how many series did I add at the end? And I was like, okay, there's only 3. So we're okay. So Only When It's Us is a series of romance like standalones following all the different brothers in the family, I think. There's like 6 or 7. And then Becky Chambers' book is also a series. So those were a couple, and then there's one later. And so I'm like, but ideally I want to try to keep these to standalones because your girl does not need any more series, okay? So in May, it was directions. And so this was like up, down, north, south, something like that. So Burn Our Bodies Down by Rory Powers, down being the keyword here. I am very excited to get to this one and actually have a video planned with this one included in it. So it's even more perfect that it's going to work for a couple things. And I think this is about this girl, like her mom takes her and they like move and she won't tell her anything about their past or their family or anything like that. And so she like finds out about this town where they came from and decides to go back there, but she realizes that maybe there was a good reason for what her mom did, and now she's like stuck in this small town with her crazy family or something like that. But much more dark, I think, and thrillery. And June, we have the word all has to be in the title. So I have All My Rage by Sabaa Tahir. I've really enjoyed Sabaa Tahir's Ember in the Ashes series, so I'm excited to see what she does with a contemporary book. So that should be really fun. And then in July, I have book-related words. So I literally have the word book in the title. So The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. And this one, I read The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James and was really excited about it and wanted to read more from her. And this is her new release coming out in 2022. It sounds so good. And this one, she does a really good job of like playing with this idea of kind of real world, but also a little bit of paranormal mixed in. And you have this mystery you're trying to solve, and usually between 2 different timelines, like an older timeline and a present day timeline. And this one sounds very similar to that. And it's like this girl, I think she has like a blog or something about looking into old cold cases or something, and something following her while she's trying to find this missing girl or something like that. I don't know. It sounds delightful. And then in August, we have items. So for this one, I put in Truth or Beard by Penny Reed, because a beard is kind of like an item, right? I don't know. I just wanted to add in more romance because I feel like I didn't read as much romance as I would have liked last year. And this one just sounded cute. And this is another series. This is my last series on the list that's following different brothers and sisters in this family as they each find their love or whatever. And it sounds like a good August read too. So it being in August is beautiful. So September was light and dark. So some kind of play with kind of light and dark or black and white, or I don't know, something like that. I have The Dead in the Dark by Courtney Gould. And this one seems perfect for September too. It's kind of, I believe there's dark academia vibes in here. And I don't know, the cover looks interesting. Every time I read the synopsis, I'm like, yes, that sounds interesting. But for whatever reason, my mind can't remember much more for you guys on this, but I'm sure that I'm going to enjoy it. In October, we have Creatures and Animals. So I have Goblin on here by Josh Mallerman. And my understanding of this book is that there's like, I think 4 or 5 short stories within this book that like make up the novel, but they're all set in the same like town or area or something. And they kind of all connect, but they are their own individual stories. I haven't read anything by Josh Mallerman, but I'm very intrigued and curious too. So it's definitely something that I'm hoping to get to and should be perfect for spooky season. So in November we have ing. So there had to be some word that had ing at the end. So I have The Resting Place by Camilla Stenn. And this one I actually read her book that came out last year, or I guess still this year, earlier this year. And I really enjoyed it. It was The Lost Village. So this next one I am really excited about as well. And this one's following this woman, and there's like a haunted house vibe going on in here, which I love haunted house stuff. And she like inherits the house, I think, and then has to go out, and she's like checking it out with her and like a friend and her lawyer or something, and some weird stuff starts happening, I think. I don't know, something like that. Sounds really intriguing. And last is December, to have some kind of number in the title. So I have 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. And this one is another mystery that I have been dying to get to for a while. And we're following this, I think it's a guy that keeps waking up, and Evelyn Hardcastle has been murdered, and he wakes up in somebody else's body each time. So he's getting different perspectives, and he has to like restart the day in somebody else's body until he can figure out what actually happened and who actually killed them. But if he if he gets to whoever did kill it before he figures it out or something, then he doesn't make it out either, or there's some kind of weird twist like that. But it sounds very intriguing, and I've heard good things. So there it is. That's my last year, how I did for 2021, what my plans are as of right now for 2022. And I would love to hear if you guys are participating in the Buzzwordathon challenge, and what are you reading in January? What is your book for the 5 whys if you are participating? So if you have made it this far and you would like to not chit chat too much, but you do want to say, hey, that you're here, leave a little bee emoji, cannot speak, emoji down below saying that you buzzed on in here, and we will talk later, you guys. Have a really good day. Bye.